In case you don't know, I'm a pretty big fan of Saturday Night Live, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I think the show is usually funny, and I just think the formula is pretty interesting. Like, you have a bunch of talented people and celebrity guests who are usually talented as well. They get 1 week to plan roughly an hour of entertainment for you, and then we get to see how fun the product ends up being each week. It's cool. So season 49 just wrapped up, and so I'm in the mood to make well, it's not really annual because I didn't do one last year, but I felt like doing one this year for whatever reason. Retrospective of the season. I want to do that. And I think I want to give this video a little bit of structure. So here's kind of the plan for how I'm going to cover everything. I want to go episode by episode, mentioning really whatever comes to mind, but definitely including a couple things for each episode. One, I want to give a recommendation for my favorite sketch for each episode. And two, this was the first season I watched where I actually paid some attention to the musical guests. So I'll give some input on whether I like them. I really don't listen to music at all that much at all. So I'm not really qualified to like criticize it, but I want to include it anyway. I just think it's cool that I actually paid attention to that this season. I guess you could also say I'm not really qualified to critique a comedy show in general because I'm not like funny, but go figure. Anyway, after going through each episode, I'm going to make a tier list of how good of a job hosting all the hosts did, and then at the very end, I'll do a tier list for all the cast members. That's kind of a tradition I've done every season I watch this show. It's pretty fun. I like doing that. But anyway, let's get started. So the first episode, the host was Pete Davidson. I think Pete's a pretty good comedian. He definitely deserves all the success that he's had. He's got a pretty interesting life story. It is weird having him as the host because I'm kind of still used to just having him as part of the cast. But it was a pretty neat choice for the season premiere. The musical guest, I should notice this, but the videos all get taken down like after a month because of the music licensing rights or whatever. But even with that, I don't remember much about Ice Spice at all. I don't have any opinion on that. The most viewed sketch from this episode was I'm Just Pete. I really like the I'm Just Ken song from Barbie. I could probably tell you all the lyrics if I really wanted to. But I did not really love this sketch. I liked the original. I didn't really think it needed a Pete Davidson version. So I didn't love that. My favorite sketch actually of this episode, if I had to pick, it might be the secretary one. That was just really funny and wild. Even though it did get repeated later in the season with a new cast members and a different host. But that was a good sketch. Next up, Bad Bunny. They do musician hosts sometimes. I think I remember liking the music of this guy. I feel like the host was in the episode a lot, and that's pretty cool. A lot of Spanish speaking because he's bilingual. He does his music in Spanish. Marcelo Hernandez got featured a lot because he's also got that element. It's not really my thing, but it's very cool that they were able to do that. Favorite sketch, maybe the Please Don't Destroy with Shrek was pretty fun. The Subway sketch was kind of like the Waffle House one we got a couple years ago, maybe a year ago. And then the Pedro Pascal with the protective mom, they did that sketch again. That one works as like a repeat. They can keep doing that. That's a funny bit. Nate Bargatze, I did not know him at all before, but he's definitely funny. He's a good host. And I love a good holiday episode, and Halloween is like my favorite holiday. And there's a decent amount of the holiday in this, so that's pretty cool. I realize that they can't do like every sketch all Halloween stuff, but I appreciate that they did some. Maybe probably a little less than 50% of the sketches are all like spooky. So Biden is in the cold open, and it's Mikey Day. He's all right. They can't use James Austin Johnson. He does a really good Biden, but he has to beat Trump. But I hope if they're going to continue with Mikey Day as Biden, I hope he does a better impression for like the election cycle. I think SNL's coverage of politics is very interesting and kind of important. Foo Fighters, good band. They're not showing up here, but good band, good choice. They did a sketch about the actors strike on Halloween, like the guidelines for that. And there was some discourse about that, I remember. I think the sketch handles the strike pretty well. It's kind of clarifying it, but also just, I think the joke is more on the studios than the, like Fran Drescher and the Actors Guild. So I think it's okay to do that sketch. Great sketches. Basically all of them were pretty funny. So picking a favorite, maybe the Hallmark horror rom-com was pretty fun. But the big standout is Washington's Dream. that's kind of not related to Halloween. So there's my two picks: one for related to Halloween and spooky stuff, one for just a general good sketch. All right, Timothy Chalamet. He's a really good actor, so this was a good episode. Honestly, to start off, one of the better political cold opens. There's just a lot of Republicans to make fun of creatively. It's just nice to see all of them there and see what they do to make fun of them. And then the bit of like James Austin Johnson as Trump, just doing that like ramble that he's known for. That's just a classic bit at this point. I think it's very funny. Nothing super memorable, good or bad about the musical guest. It was Boy Genius. Honestly, the longer ago they were, it's just harder for me to remember all the musical guests very well. Two of the sketches, the Troye Sivan, like Sleep Demon, and then the gym. Those are just both funny because it's funny to see Timothy do his little dance, and then it's funny to see him jacked, like super big. That's just so cursed, but I love it. And then maybe the best sketch, I don't know, Little Orphan, was the great showcase for Chloe Trost, the newest cast member. She can sing, so that's cool. Actually, my favorite sketch was Giant Horse. Just, I'm a fan of that. It's fun. Jason Momoa next up. I like the guy. He's funny. He's good at playing like the himbo type of character. Musical guest Tate McRae. I think I liked. I don't remember at this point. George Santos on Weekend Update and probably in the cold open as well. And then the best sketch, probably the Ancient Rome song. Honestly, this episode is kind of a good time capsule. A lot of stuff that was relevant then got made fun of, like George Santos and people being obsessed with ancient Rome. It was all relevant then. It's not really relevant anymore, so it's just a very interesting look back. Emma Stone. Emma Stone's a great actress. The episode was kind of just fine. I will say that Noah Khan was one of the best and most memorable musical guests. I definitely remember him, and I don't really listen to music, but I'm a fan of his. He does good songs. I don't really like the one they did the posters sketch again. That one worked really well when they had Pete Davidson as like the college kid. They're doing it with someone else now, and it just doesn't work in my opinion as much. There's more George Santos, which is fun. The sketch with like make your own kind of music that was good. It's a good song. It's a good scene that used. The best sketch though is Question Quest. That's just the game show format of a sketch just perfected, and I just think it's very funny that Emma Stone hosted for her 5th time, so they gave her a turtle. That's great. Hell yeah. Next up, Adam Driver. He's a great host. I definitely get why he's my mom's favorite actor. I'm not politically knowledgeable enough about the Israel and Palestine to discuss the college president's cold open. People hated that cold open. Everybody was talking about that. I have like no opinion. My politics usually just align with SNL anyway. Like I remember they did the cold open for the season premiere, which was right after the like October 7th or whatever conflict, and it's just like they made a little announcement that yeah, war and genocide and terrorism is bad. Yeah. But more of a general statement, but it's always funny to see just media illiterate people complain about something from the SNL episode online. Because, like, they're complaining about something, but they're complaining about something that's not really what the joke was joking about. It's just always funny to see. I'm not doing a good job explaining it, but let's move on. Olivia Rodrigo was a pretty alright musical guest. I think she's been on the show before. Yeah. I like that we're getting some, like, holiday sketches at this point. Even though most of them get saved for the next episode, the one that's like right before Christmas. But my favorite was probably the Airplane Baby, and then We're Trying. The premise of We're Trying is just insane, and I don't even want to say anything about it, but yeah. Alright, Kate McKinnon. So contrast from like Pete Davidson. She's a recent alum of the show who moved on. She works really well as a host though. The sketch Killer Whale Attack, that's like super Christmassy. It's kind of the same sketch as Eddie Murphy did a version of that with maybe like a polar bear a few years ago. That was probably better, but this is alright. The ABBA sketch is fun. Honestly, a lot of good, really Christmassy sketches. I can't really pick a favorite. The Whiskers cat sketch, Kate and Billie Eilish are pretty funny together. They've been on the show before a couple years ago or something. She's a good musical guest. I don't really actively listen to her music, just I don't listen to active music actively very much, but very memorable. Like I remember what song she did. She did "What Was I Made For" from Barbie. That's a good song. It very much deserved the Oscar. Like I prefer "I'm Just Ken," but what was I made for is probably objectively better. And then again with like the Christmas season, she did "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." I covered that, and that was also pretty good. See, a good episode. I just like when they do holiday relevant stuff in the show. All right, Jacob Elordi. Wow, the host is a tall and good-looking guy. I remember some people were complaining about like every sketch. The punchline is this guy's tall and good-looking, and like that's the only what they're working with. I can't really be bothered to calculate how true that is. Although I mean I'm tall, I'm maybe good-looking, so I'm qualified to judge. But it didn't really bother me. He was just bland as a host, though. I think the bowling sketch is my favorite. That was pretty funny. Just seeing all the little animations in that one. Honestly, though, in my opinion, Renee Rapp should have just hosted as well as been the musical guest. Like I didn't even like the Mean Girls musical movie, but she's a great singer and she's cool. I have a funny story. So I expressed back then in January, I expressed on social media that I was excited about her being on the show because I was familiar with her at that point. Um, and then on the show, she came out as a lesbian. She previously had said that she thought she was bisexual. She's a lesbian. That's fine. But I like to joke to myself that like I'm what made her realize that she doesn't not attracted to men, even though like it wasn't a public social media, so it's not like she saw it. I don't know. It's funny that how I think that. I don't know. Anyway, Dakota Johnson, and then musical guest Justin Timberlake. That guy I know more from acting than music. I think he was all right as a musical guest. Again, very difficult for me to remember some musical guests. Dakota Johnson's acting is just kind of weird. Like in everything I've seen her, I'm just not convinced she's a real human being. Her acting style is just bizarre. Some good sketches, like the Please Don't Destroy roast, where they say that they're all Nepo babies. And then the sketch about like all the men being horny little dorks. It's like Madam Web's target audience. Maybe the best sketch though is the home videos. Just the twist in that. Once the reveal of like it just gets crazier and crazier. That's a great sketch. But not a super good episode. Ayo Edebiri, that was fantastic. Fantastic host, fantastic episode. With that being said, ew, why is Nikki Haley in the cold open? Get her out of there. She doesn't belong at SNL. I don't have anything to say about Jennifer Lopez's music. Great update bit with, like, there's a new and unique Sarah and Colin dynamic. I kind of love when they're on update together and she's just kind of making fun of them. That's just a favorite, like, recurring bit now of mine. They did the Dune popcorn bucket because I remember that. That was, yeah. And the showcase of all the cast members like acting as bad couples. That was kind of timely for Valentine's Day, which was nice. Favorite sketch though is the drugs on campus. Oh my gosh, drugs. Yeah, that was fun. All right, Shane Gillis. There was so much media just illiteracy about this guy hosting and consequences or whatever from like both sides politically. Just so many people with the weirdest takes on him hosting. But here's my take. Basically, a few years ago, he was going to be hired as a cast member. He said some bigoted language. He has since apologized for that, and he will happily apologize for anything that he does that's, bad. And, like, he's literally friends with the cast. So you're allowed to enjoy this episode. Also, it's not the only funny thing SNL has done in however long. You always get people like, SNL hasn't been funny in 10 years and 30 years. SNL hasn't been funny since the 60s. It's like, yeah, I like the guy. He was fine hosting. A little edgy, but not bad. And he'll apologize if he really gets someone offended. 21 Savage, again, unmemorable musical guest. That's just me. I don't really listen to music. A lot of great sketches. Fugliana, Forrest Gump, the HR meeting. I think my favorite sketch is the Trump shoes one. Like SNL, some people don't like it when SNL does politics. I think you can do politics pretty funny on SNL occasionally. Just the editing and pacing of this like 2-minute pre-taped sketch just fantastic. Shane Gillis, great Trump impression. Like, it's a little different, but probably just as good as James Austin Johnson. I kind of like both. Also, why are these 2 seconds where Mikey Day is in it the funniest he's ever been as Biden? Like, that's why are these 2 seconds so good at the end? But yeah, SNL politics is very interesting. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with the election. I'm not really interested in the election, but when SNL covers it, I'll probably find something interesting about that. I don't know. Sydney Sweeney next up, and then musical guest Casey Musgraves. I think I liked her. I think I kind of get her mixed up with one of the other ones early in the season, Tate McRae. Maybe they're just honestly hard to remember and distinguish sometimes. There's a few real standouts, but most of the time it's just like, yeah, this is music. It's a live performance from the SNL studio. It's not going to be like the best quality sound, but whatever. Sydney Sweeney did well as a host. The detective sketch where like teenage girls are really good at finding out information using their phone and social media, that's funny. This is the perfect episode to put the Bowen is straight sketch in. They probably had the idea for that for a while, and then they're like, which host is going to be the most funny to do this with? And yeah, I think most people's favorite sketch was the waitress for whatever reason. My favorite was the Airbud one. Just Sydney Sweeney flirting really, really intensely with the dog is so fucking funny. I can't explain it. It's just so good. But yeah, no, good episode, I guess. I get why she's like the popular girl actress now. Josh Brolin, he brought great energy. He was really good. Like a solid episode, not super good, but just very funny host. Like he yelled, "I am inevitable," and he did an ice bath in the monologue. That's just such a memorable thing. And this episode had Scarlett Johansson as Katie Britt, that insane lady. Remember? That's pretty funny. Ariana Grande, I have like nothing to say about the music. I really don't know that much about her, and what I do know about her, it's more of an actress than a singer, so nothing to say there. Another sketch, they built the shrimp tower. That's pretty cool. My favorite sketch though was the bank robbery. Just a perfect showcase of how much energy Brolin has in this episode. Just so good comedy there. Alright, Rami Youssef, he's just like a chill dude. I respect that. Musical guest Travis Scott, I do not care at all about that guy. Don't remember it either. And apparently, I think this guy's the one that is kind of controversial. I'm out of the loop on that. But nice holiday episode because it's both Easter and Ramadan. For politics, they did Trump selling Bibles. I mean, he did that in real life, but they're making fun of that here. It's really funny to me because I'm a Christian. I'd say I know my Bible stories pretty well. Like, there's this one Bible story about how Jesus, this one time, got really upset about people, like, doing all this business and merchant and marketing inside a religious place, and he just threw a big tantrum and was like, those should not mix. And, yeah, I wonder if Trump's read that, but whatever. Andrew Dismukes is really good in the murder detective sketch. Like, that's a sketch that has one joke, but just they do it really well. Honestly, my favorite sketch might be the Hitman one. I just did not expect such a super close parody of The Killer. Like, that's a decent movie, but in my eyes, nobody was really talking about it. It's, like, relatively obscure. But, yeah, they parodied that pretty tightly, and that was cool. Kristen Wiig, good episode, great cast member, and I'm not really familiar with Kristen Wiig like on the SNL show, but I just know who she is, and she works really well as a returning host. And the musical guest Ray was super fresh, actually really memorable. Would not mind if she shows up again, the musical guest. But nothing too much to say about this episode. They did the earthquake and the eclipse for Weekend Update. That's kind of cool. Non-human characters on that. Few good sketches, definitely. My favorite one is probably Jumanji. Just kind of arguing about, like, the semantics of that. And, like, it's not really funny if you think about it, but, like, it also is. Just, like, watch the sketch, and it's fun. All right, next up, Ryan Gosling. He's, like, my favorite actor now, so I was really, really excited about this episode. It wasn't actually exactly what I expected. It was maybe not a letdown, but just different. The monologue was pretty fun, but he made it very clear he's done with the Ken character. That's a little unfortunate because I like that character. I like that character and the character arc that he goes on. I like him at the end of the movie. He's yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But he did promote the Fall Guy, which I have seen now. It's a very good movie. That was fun. And the episode though is just him and others just they're breaking character and laughing just a whole damn lot. It's like it works, but it's not the funniest he's ever been, and it's just like you kind of have to look at this episode differently because it's like they're funny because they're breaking, but that's not the same as just being funny, I guess. Um, I like Michael Longfellow on Weekend Update. He's a good guest. Chris Stapleton was the musical guest. He was all right, I think. The big sketch of this episode was Beavis and Butthead. That's a classic now. I get that. That was good. It got a lot of attention, which is cool. Papyrus 2, they did Papyrus 2. That's probably like a perfect sequel sketch. They just callbacks and introduce new ideas. Just like that was really cool to see. But I think my favorite sketch might be the engagement one. Just Brian's kind of talking to I forget who the other guy and just like you're a part of this. And that was fun. All right. Dua Lipa, another musician host, which is cool. I like when they do that sometimes. The songs were good. I know Dua Lipa from the Dance the Night Away song at Barbie, and I don't think either of the songs that she did here were, like, I didn't like them as much as the Barbie one, but all the sketches were decent. None of them were, like, outstanding. I cannot for the life of me pick a favorite, though. Weekend Update was pretty good, though, this week. I get why people say it's like always the best part of the show. I don't always agree, but maybe for this week I'd say Weekend Update was the best part. Like they're making fun of Christy Gnome's dog. That was a pretty funny story to hear about. And oh wow, Jerry Seinfeld's here. I might actually watch his new movie Unfrosted at some point, but I'm not really like a Jerry Seinfeld fan. I've seen B-Movie as a kid, I think maybe. That was like 17 years ago. That's crazy. You go look up Jerry Seinfeld 17 to learn a little more. All right, Maya Rudolph is like a perfect choice to host on the Mother's Day weekend because she plays a lot of mother characters in like movies, and she just kind of exudes that energy. And there's a good amount of like sketches related to that this episode. Like the cold open covers that, monologue covers that. Those are both great. Musical guest was Vampire Weekend. I kind of wanted to really like this band because one of my friends is a pretty big fan, but honestly they didn't leave that much of an impression, unfortunately. I love that RFK Jr.'s Brainworm was a guest on Update. That's very funny. I think RFK Jr. is a very interesting guy. He's kind of crazy, so make fun of him all you want. Favorite sketch is probably either landscaping or the teachers one. I don't know. It was a good episode though. And then last one, Jake Gyllenhaal. We really ended the season on a bang. He was just not afraid to go crazy weird, and I loved that. Sabrina Carpenter was the musical guest. She was alright. Her music's just not really my thing. And honestly, the audio is just a little weirder than usual, even for like a live studio performance from SNL. Like, people complain about how the audio isn't always going to be like the best from the SNL studio for musical guests, but it was very noticeable. Like, the mixing was weird on that. But I don't want to get into that. I'm not an expert. Honestly, I was more interested in Sabrina Carpenter like playing Daphne in the Scooby-Doo sketch, because I'm a big fan of Scooby-Doo. I mean, I don't know. I've seen all these jokes that they're doing in the sketch before, but they're just done really well and like with energy. And honestly, it was just a super ambitious sketch because they got to build a set and write the thing, come up with the jokes, all the practical effects, and like they have a CGI Scooby. That's like such a achievement because it's just really ambitious. And honestly, Jake Gyllenhaal as evil Fred, like pointing a gun, the camera, that's just stuck in my mind now. That's so funny. And then yeah, plenty of other fun sketches as well. But yeah, I guess I'll just repeat and ending the season on a bang. So yeah, all right, let's move on to the tier list now. All right, so we got all the pictures of all the different hosts right here, and then I got a tier list. I'm gonna make that. So this is live. I have not thought about where I'm gonna place them yet, so I gotta think about that and let's get going. I guess I'll start going in order. Pete Davidson. Honestly, I'm gonna give like a B tier, just because, like, I think he's funny, but he's very new to this whole hosting thing, and I think he could have been a little funnier. We'll do Bad Bunny next. Again, probably a B tier, B for Bad Bunny. He did good, but not exceptional, and it wasn't the type of comedy that I'm gonna be super into, I guess, if that makes sense. Nate Bargatze, I think I'll put him halfway between A and S, and then at some point I'll decide which one is better. But I think he could easily be S tier. He was very good. Timothy Chalamet, actually, I did just decide. Nate Bargatze's going S tier. Timothy Chalamet is going A tier because I liked both of them. But Nate Bargatze, his episode was kind of a classic. Timothy Chalamet was just more Timothy Chalamet on SNL. It's just they're different tiers. Yeah. I'll do Kate McKinnon next. She can get an A tier. She was good. She was good at hosting. Not really much else to say. Emma Stone. Okay, so this is interesting. I don't want to move that. Emma Stone, I'm going to give a B tier. Other episodes of hers, I'd probably go like A, or actually, I'll put her halfway between A and B because this episode that she did was just not her best and funniest work. But she's always a good host, so let me get some of the hosts I didn't really like up there. Yeah. Jacob Elordi was probably the worst one. He's just pretty bland, and I don't think they need to have him back at all, unless I don't know. They could, but Dua Lipa, I was not really into her hosting. I know she's a musician. She wants to try and break into acting, and she's doing all right at that, but she's just not really there yet. A with Deborah, I'll bring up to S tier though. She was at one point I'm like, this is probably my favorite episode. I don't know if I'd say that now still, but she was good. Damn, there's a lot of people. Jason Momoa, I'll give a C. Seems a little low. Sorry about that. C seems a little low, but I'll put it there. Yeah, sorry about that coughing. I just don't really talk a lot for long sessions. Who's next? I'll do Adam Driver. Adam Driver can get an A because he's always a good host, and he was a good host this time. So A for Adam Driver. I'm just trying to not make this like super front loaded. I want it to look relatively even. Dakota Johnson's gonna get a C. I think Jacob Elordi's gonna be the only D tier, but because she was the one that also might be D, but I'll give her a C just because she's a weird person. Her acting is weird, but she's funny. So, who's next? Honestly, all the ones that are left are pretty good. So let's organize these. I'll give Emma Stone a B, but you know what I'll do? I'll move these guys to low B, and then Emma Stone can be a high B because she's good. All right, Shane Gillis. See, I thought about an A, but I think B is probably better. Like, he would work really well as a cast member or just a host that they get a lot. But based on the first episode, I don't know. But it was a good episode. Rami Youssef, I'll also give a B because he was good but not, like, amazing. Kristen Wiig, I'm thinking A. Actually, we'll save Ryan Gosling for a little later. Josh Brolin, we'll save him for last. Jake Gyllenhaal, we'll save him. Sydney Sweeney, we'll move her next. I'm going to say B, because she was good. All right, Maya Rudolph, and then we'll do those three guys. Yeah, Maya Rudolph, I'm thinking A. I don't want to give, I moved the wrong thing. I'm thinking A. I don't want to give too many S tiers out. So Maya Rudolph can be A because she was good. Ryan Gosling, I think I'll give an A. A for Ryan Gosling because he was good, but he wasn't really what I expected or wanted. He was funny, but not in the perfect ways that I like him being funny. But he definitely did good. Honestly, I kind of want to give him his own tier just because his episode was just everybody's breaking character and laughing and messing up. And that worked. It was funny, but I don't know. That's not really what you want in a host every time. So it was a nice treat. But Josh Brolin, yeah. No, I'll do Jake Gyllenhaal next. Honestly, I'm gonna. It might be recency bias, but I think he can get an S tier because he just. It was just such a nice thing to have him bring so much energy and just go completely wild for the last episode. So that was kind of fun. And then Josh Brolin, I'll also give an S tier because I think he did very, very good. And he's not old, but he's a little older, and you don't always see so much energy from the older hosts. So, all right, I'm just gonna look over this. I don't know if I really want to reorder them at all. Yeah, I'm kind of liking. Oh, that's the one. I'm kind of liking how it looks now. Let's just. So S tier, you got those four. A tier, you got all them. Yeah, this is a rough like live list making it. So yeah, I like how I filled that out. I think that's pretty accurate to my thoughts on that. So yeah, all right. All right, so now we're gonna tier list for all the cast members. I've got all their pictures here, and again, this is live. I have not thought about where I want to put anybody yet, so or what order I want to go in. I'll start. Where is Colin? Colin's gonna get a solid 8 here because I like him as a weekend update anchor. Andrew Dismukes is jumping out at me. He'll also get 8 here. A for Andrew. He's just pretty solid in sketches. And I liked it. I don't know. He was like the first new cast member when I first started watching. So I kind of have a soft spot for him, if that makes any sense. Chloe Fineman. I might give a C. She's all right. She can do impressions. I don't love all of her impressions, but she works fine. But I don't know. Not like a favorite cast member at this point. Let's do Bowen Yang. I might move him, but for now I'm gonna say A tier because I feel like he was in the season a good amount, and I think he's pretty funny and versatile. He can play a lot of characters with all bringing energy. So yeah, let's move on to some of the featured players as opposed to repertory players. Molly Carney, they were not in the season very much, but I like their comedy when they are. But I'm gonna say C tier just because they're not in the show that much. Devin Walker, I'll give a B tier. He's not my favorite of like the featured players, but I think he's pretty solid. Marcelo Hernandez is also gonna get a B tier. I feel like once they're moved up to repertory players, they could go higher. But for now, they're just not in the show as much. So B tier for them. Michael Longfellow, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of him, but I really like him, so he can get an A tier. Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I might shuffle this around. Then Chloe Trost is going to be B tier because she was pretty solid for her first season. Pretty funny. All right, so that's actually all the featured players. So back to repertory. Mikey Day can get an A tier because he might have had the most screen time, or that's what it felt like. He's like the real main character of this season. He just is in the show a lot, and he's all pretty consistent. Speaking of consistent, Kenan Thompson can get a B tier because he's been on the show just a while now, and he's always pretty good. Punky Johnson C tier, just because, again, C tier doesn't even mean bad. I'm not sure if I'm going to give out any D tiers, because that would mean bad. It just means you're not on the show as much, or I just don't get super excited seeing, like, I'm just not really find you as funny as some other cast members or whatever. I might have to move some people to S tier, but I'll say that for the end. Yeah, I'll probably give everyone else like an A tier and then move to S tier. Like, Ego Wodum is an A tier because she is good. She does good work. Michael Che is a B tier because Again, he's really good on Update, but I just prefer Colin's jokes most of the time. James Austin Johnson. I'll move other people to S tier. I'm going to give him an S tier, honestly. He's just a very good impressionist, and he's been doing really good work ever since he joined. So, yeah. Sarah Sherman. I'll give an S tier. I always like her jokes. They're all pretty funny, and she's just not afraid to get kind of weird most of the time. So, yeah. I'm going to move Mikey Day up to S tier because he's just very solid, and he's been on the show for a while, and like I will miss him when he inevitably leaves the show. I think they'll definitely feel his loss in talent when he leaves, so he can be S tier. And then Heidi Gardner was really good this season, so I think A tier. So now I'm just gonna go over it all. Oh wait, Please Don't Destroy. I didn't see a lot of Please Don't Destroy videos this season. Like at one point I would have said A tier, but they just haven't been on the show as much anymore. So I'm gonna actually say B tier. Their shtick's kind of getting a little old in my opinion. So let me just go over that. Honestly, I kind of like the look of this. I'm not gonna reorder it all. But yeah, I think I like this tier list. I think that's pretty accurate, but I'm not going to worry about it. If I wanted to make this like super organized and ordered and 100% accurate, I could, but it's supposed to be a live fill this out based on just vibes. So I think that's how it's going to be. So that's the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts. I really felt like making this and talking about the season because I just like SNL. I think it's a very interesting show to discuss. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching.